Have you ever wondered how faith, music, and social media could converge to touch the lives of millions? Today, we are diving into the incredible story of a man whose prayers have resonated across TikTok, whose voice has filled concert halls worldwide, and whose compositions inspired worshippers globally. With over 1.3 million TikTok followers, this guest is a social media strategist, award winning Christian songwriter, and a vocal powerhouse. Welcome to another episode of our Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. So join us as we explore the journey of David Charles Griffiths, the man redefining faith based content creation in the digital age. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you would like to share with our audience?
You know, I do, and unfortunately, I do not know the original person to attribute it to.
Mhm.
But it's simply this statement: done is better than perfect. This is so huge for me in my space because whether it's me, I'm a perfectionist. I know that many of my clients struggle with this. They want to make sure that what they create is really good and they don't feel like they're that good at it. So they want to take extra time to do it. And then weeks go by and what they could have done in one evening ends up not happening for weeks. And so they could have posted every day and learned from what the audience told them and what the algorithm showed them. But instead, they kept trying to make it better and better and they put it off and they don't do it.
Mm.
Done is so much better than perfect.
Done is so much better than perfect, and I think I totally agree with this quote because I think every founder has this. Sorry, every founder has this moment in their life where they just keep delaying things because they want to make things perfect before going out to their customers, and then one day they just give up and say, I can't do it anymore, let's go out. And then that's where they realize, okay, I should have done it way long before because it's never going to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
Great stuff, great stuff. So David, I'm eager to learn more about you as a person, right? Could you take us back to your roots, share with our listeners about your upbringing, your childhood? How did your early experiences shape your journey and eventually led you to become a visionary entrepreneur, actually, in today's world, in digital world? And were there any key influences from your family, surroundings, friends, friends, dads, like rich dad, poor dad kind of thing, that played a significant role in shaping your entrepreneur spirit?
Hmm. Wow. So I hope I can do a good job of answering this question. It's power packed. So where does David come from? My roots. Well, I'm blessed to have as my parents Barbara,
Mhm.
formerly Barbara Dewey, um, Barbara Griffiths, currently Barbara Philpotts Kerr, and Victor Segismundo Griffiths. My dad was from Cuba,
Mhm.
and my mother is from Jamaica. And then they moved here. My brother was born in Jamaica, but I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Mhm.
And one of the things that formulates who I am is I'm very eclectic. And part of the reason why I'm so eclectic is I have these Caribbean parents, and my dad was a trailblazer. He was the first African American um, English professor at Union College in Lincoln, Nebraska. And then he was the first Black chairman of the English department at La Sierra University. And then after that, he was the first um, dean of the graduate school, also African American at Loma Linda University. And so he kept doing these things where we were in environments that we had never been exposed to, and I had to learn to adapt.
No.
My dad being this trailblazer, and we're in these new environments that we're not used to. It it made me realize certain things. For example, my childhood best friends were my two female childhood best friends. One was from the Philippines, the other was
Mhm.
from India, and my male best friends were both Chinese. And so, because of this multicultural experience that I had, I think about the world a little bit differently than if I had been born in Jamaica or grown up in Cuba.
Mm.
So that's part of, I think, what makes me think globally. And so I'm very grateful that my parents raised me in a way to look at the world as one community, and
Mm.
really helped me to think about how I can serve in that way, not just to serve one particular place, but to serve globally.
Indeed, indeed. And well, how did you? Okay, I think we should go step by step because it's a very interesting journey you had, right? Um, okay, learn about your parents, your friends. Let's say fast forward to your graduation. How did that journey looks like?
Mm. Okay, so let me talk about high school graduation.
Hmm.
Interesting thing, when I graduated from high school, I had the privilege of writing our class song. It was called Follow Your Dreams.
Hmm.
And what was cool was, when I was graduating from high school, as I was getting ready, like, what am I going to do with my life? I had been involved in a youth ministry group called the Light Company, which
Hmm.
taught me a lot of the skills that I use today. We wrote a musical. Yeah, in high school, we wrote a musical. That was crazy. But
Hmm.
so my journey to being an award-winning songwriter began really in what I was doing inside high school, where we were writing songs together, and I was learning the power of music to really influence people.
Mm.
So that was a lot of fun. And then I got to sing that same class song the next week. I flew out to my childhood home of La Sierra University, and I got to sing that same song on their class night event. So it's almost,
Awesome.
I didn't have two graduations, but that was a really special moment for me, because I realized I have a special gift when it comes to music and connecting with people. And I imagined, okay, if I learn how to use these things correctly, this could actually be a door to take me to places I've never been around the world.
Hmm. Indeed, indeed. That's really cool. And I, I don't want to sound very selfish, but I have actually composed one song which I would play for you later after
Oh,
this show.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
And it is about Christmas. It is about kids and happiness. Yeah, it's not about me. It's about you. So let's focus on you today then.
I look forward to hearing.
Cool. So you did really good learning through the high school graduation. You went to the college where you have done. Was it multiple songs at the college level, or what's happening there?
So, yeah, and I did a double major, music and theology. So
Mm-hmm.
I finished a Bachelor of Arts in voice, and then I finished one in theology, and then I went to graduate school and got a master's at Peabody Conservatory in
Mm-hmm.
vocal performance. And so I studied jazz piano with Charles Covington,
Mm.
as a gifted jazz pianist when I was at Peabody. And so I think, and also the opera department, I learned a lot in terms of performance at the graduate level. And so this combination of my heart for people and serving, that's expressed by ministry, as well as learning how to present things and create things to make an impact for an audience through the musical theater component and composition. It all fused together into really who I am. And the other thing I didn't mention, from my youth group in high school, I became the leader, and then I had to every week create a vibrant meeting for our
mm,
group. And
mm,
so my sponsor, Bruce Freeman, he just passed away this year. He taught me so much about building relationships and building community, which is
mm,
so important. Yeah, I have a community where I teach people how to do content creation. I learned so many principles from him that I use whether I'm on stage teaching or if I have my online community. Um, it's so important for us to tell our stories and share them with one another. And when we
mm,
share our stories, then people feel open to receive more from us. And
mm,
so what we would do is at the beginning of our meetings, we would have an icebreaker activity where we would share something interesting with either one other person or a small group of people.
mm,
And just doing that at the beginning set the atmosphere of energy and great expectation. Then I'd often have those different pairs or groups come back and share what their partner or what their group had shared. And then that sharing, it's interesting. People were much more interested to study or discuss something after their sharing had been validated.
mm,
And so I really want to encourage people. I know I usually teach people about how to create content online, but even what I do online is creating community. And I look for ways to create community beyond just trying to create something that goes viral, because I
mm,
believe that in being authentic and creating community, we'll actually find our greatest vehicle of expression and influence.
mm, mm. Definitely. And I totally agree with you on this because there's nothing powerful, especially in the age of AI, there's nothing powerful more than genuine, authentic human, existence. That is very crucial nowadays because everybody can, just write a AI script and read through the teleprompters nowadays. Cool. So let's talk a little bit more about your journey in the digital world, right? You already are teaching hundreds and thousands of people how they can leverage current technology to become an influencer, a teacher, or somebody who can add value to others' life. But I want to know what was your story? When did you actually created the first piece of content to put it on either YouTube, TikTok, or if you want to just talk about TikTok, I don't mind, whichever way you want to go. How did it felt? And then what is the difference between the David Griffith that time and today?
Oh wow, good question. So let me set let me set up the story this way.
Hmm.
So as you know, so I'm the aspiring songwriter artist, and as an independent gospel recording artist, I
Hmm.
would go to these conferences and get advice from the marketing professionals. And at
Hmm.
first, they would say you need to develop an email list.
Hmm.
So I remember once I paid this service that had a list. I forgot how many, it was probably a few $1,000s to do a mailing on my behalf because I didn't have
Hmm.
my list yet. So I remember that was the first thing. But then after that, once social media came around, the tune changed and they said, "Oh no, you need to have a social media following. So you
Hmm.
need to be on Facebook." And so I started that journey.
Hmm.
And after 13 years of being on YouTube, I only had like a little over 100 followers. So there
Wow.
was something that I was missing because I was excited and I thought that when I talk in front, or when I lead groups, I felt that I was effective, but there was something I was missing when it came to being online. And I
Mm,
think what it was is I had the wrong concept of what social media is about.
mm,
And I guess I should share that here, and then I'll share with you what the transition was to make the difference between David, 13 years, 100 followers, versus David with over 1.5 million followers now.
yeah.
Um, you can't create content for yourself.
Mm,
When I say that, don't get me wrong. When you create content, it should be authentic.
hmm.
It should, and you should create about things that you care about.
Hmm.
However, if you want people to choose to spend 60 seconds or 30 seconds listening to your content, and then to be inspired afterwards to say, hey, I want to follow this guy so I get more of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create content that's meeting their needs.
Mm-hmm.
You either you're making them feel good, or you're teaching them something that solves a real problem that they have, or you're figuring out a way to soothe their pain. I enjoy inspiring people. That's also something that people are looking for. But whatever it is, if you're teaching them, if you're healing them, if you're solving a problem,
Mm-hmm.
you should make sure that in your content that you're telling your stories and you're being authentic, that it relates to them.
Mm.
And that them, if you can picture someone in your mind and you're regularly going to create content that serves them, you will start to see success and growth that I didn't see in my first 13 years on social media.
Oh, okay. And so you're saying that when you were at on 13 years on YouTube, you were authentic, you were trying to do what you wanted to do, but you did not focus on the second point, which is meeting your audience need, solving their problem, addressing their pain point.
Yes, because I was okay. Let me case in point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a gospel recording artist. I'm just thinking, okay, well, let me just share some of my music. In
Mm-hmm.
2012, I did a song book release concert, a live recording. It was sold out. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, if I post videos of this, that will be really great content.
Mm-hmm.
It was great content for the people that attended the concert. They enjoyed it. The soloists, they enjoyed sharing it with their circle of influence.
Mm-hmm.
But the question, like if I were doing it over again, I would create a plan before we did the concert that already had people interested in the content that was to come.
Mm-hmm.
I would have spent more time strategically. Like if I did a concert next 6 months in 2025, I would then strategically set it up where I am partnering with other influencers so that we have content related to an event that's going to be interesting to their followers and my followers. And that I'm going to make sure that even when we share the event and we share the beautiful music, that still I'm doing things for them and about them within sharing my music that I've created. That's really an expression of my worship to God, but also is supposed to be a blessing to them.
Perfect. So basically, you're following the formula where it's you have to give quite a lot of value to the world before even asking for a small favor. Is that we are on the same line?
Yes, one of my mentors, Myron Golden, Dr. Myron Golden. It's interesting. He has, I feel like it's a unique, unparalleled success.
Mm-hmm.
He is an amazing speaker. And so his YouTube channel is growing. He makes lots of money, not only from his YouTube channel, but he has 2 books that he sells, and he's making, I want to say a couple $100,000 from selling those books a month.
Mm-hmm.
So he has this system, but when you see his content on YouTube, in his case, he's teaching business principles from a biblical perspective. He doesn't care if you're a Christian or not. That's just the source for him for business wisdom comes from his study of the Bible, and it's working for him, right? So he has results for him and his students, but when he's sharing, he doesn't do a call to action, but like after every 10 videos.
Mm.
So like other people, they have a call to action on every video.
Mm.
If he has one, it's what I call a small call to action, where it's like, hey, if you enjoyed this, feel free to follow for more content like this. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So that's a soft call to action where you're just telling people, hey, if you got value from this, I'm going to give more value like this. If you subscribe, you'll be notified when it comes out.
Mm.
So, but he's not saying, hey, I have this book and you can buy it at the end of every video. He's not doing that.
Mm.
So that he is a great example of making sure you're giving, in his mind, I'm going to give 10 times the value before I make an ask.
Mm.
right? And
Got
so,
it.
and his model is, if he can help you make $1 million, he's going to charge you $100,000.
Mm.
And the thing is, because he has so many students that he's done that for, you would pay him if he helps you make $100,000, you would join his community and pay 10% of that because he has his track record, and
Mm.
it's worth it to get the 10x. But the reason that so many people know about him is because he does it the other way around, and he gives 10x value before he asks for one request.
But he certainly got a follower now. So yeah, I'm definitely going to check out Dr. Marvin Golden and potentially become a follower like yourself. Yeah, I mean, you're lucky. You're a mentee, but yeah. So take us through the journey you had when you started with your TikTok account. How did it started? What sort of learning you had, and do you have? So okay, let me rephrase this question. A lot of listeners of our show is founders,
Okay.
people who have either had courage to get off out of their 9 to 5 and get into the founder space, or people who are built something, got into an accelerator program, got some funding, and they're like, hustling through it. Most of the people in our community, they are the people who are um, who don't understand the like world, the outside world. They're very focused on their product or services, right? They don't, and some of them even don't know what to do in order to get traction on their product, right? And that's where coaches and mentors like yourself come in. So would you be able to first share how was your journey, and then touch a little bit about the framework or a kind of system you would like to advise to our listeners?
Okay. Sure, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I guess that's nearly 5 years ago, one of my high school buddies, who's a public speaker, um, Jeff Vargas,
Hmm.
he organized this Zoom called the Dudes Chat.
Okay.
And the Dudes Chat was basically a place for us high school buddies to reconnect and encourage each other when we couldn't go anywhere because of everything that was going on.
Yeah.
And so one of our good friends, Kevin, his mom had just died. And Kevin said to me, "Hey, David, you've always sung for my family events, and I really appreciate it. Um, I'm going through a hard time missing my mother. Would you mind singing a hymn every morning on Facebook to help me get through this time?"
Hmm.
So when he asked me, it was interesting because at that point, quite honestly, I was unhappy in my life. Um, my marriage had failed. I hadn't done all the things that I was looking to do. And so I wasn't sharing like I really could. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
because I was so focused in on myself and not enough on others.
Hmm.
So it seems like a common problem with my social media as well, right? And so when Kevin asked me this, for me, it was more than just him asking me. It was more so like a divine question of, are you going to share what you've been given or not?
Mm.
And so I told Kevin yes. But the interesting thing I found out after I told him yes was Kevin would enjoy, and he did enjoy, and he thanked me. And the people who already knew me would enjoy, but nobody knew would learn about me because
Hmm.
I would have to pay advertising in order for new people to discover my content.
Hmm.
But then there was this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk,
Hmm.
and he said the best place for businesses for organic growth is TikTok.
Hmm.
I said, TikTok? I thought TikTok was for dancing high school girls, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not my gift, right? So I I said, okay, he obviously has results that I don't have.
Hmm.
So I'm going to trust someone who has the results that I want. I'm going to listen to what they're saying and let them coach me so that I can get the results that I'm looking for. And so I got a coach and I did what they said. They encouraged me, find 8, 9 areas that you're really passionate about and start to create content about those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And your audience will teach you what it is they want from you.
Wow, that's new.
Now, here's the thing. One, let's look at a couple things from that. One,
Mm-hmm.
if you, let's look at a few things.
Mm-hmm.
One, if you don't create, remember, done is better than perfect.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't create the content, you can't learn what your audience is trying to teach you.
Exactly. Okay.
Right? So if you don't create consistently, then you won't be able to pivot because there's going to be no data for you to pivot on.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition, you have to create content that is authentic with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you just study what's trending, but it's not aligned to who you are and how you serve, then you're going to get tired of creating this content after a while.
Mm.
So it has to be authentic, right? It has to be something that you're passionate about, maybe something that you're skilled and passionate about, skilled at and passionate about. And then as you create it consistently, now you're going to be able to learn from your audience what it is that they want more of.
Mm.
Also, the algorithm will help you learn what is more effective. So don't look at the algorithm as an enemy. Look at it as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really, I hope this helps someone. Many of us, and at times I felt this way, like, oh, the algorithm hates me. It's trying to kill my account. But think about it. Does the algorithm hate you, or does the algorithm want you to make content that's addictive and engaging? Well, actually, the algorithm wants you to create really good, engaging, addictive content so that people will stay on the platform longer and longer and longer.
Mm.
And if you're not creating the kind of content that does it, then the algorithm is going to let you know, no, that's not what we're looking for. But if the algorithm could speak to you, it could say, hey, come again and try something different, and I'll tell you if that's what we're looking for.
Mm.
And so this process then allows you to discover what it is that your audience really wants. And so to talk about my experience, so I said, okay, well, let me sing. So la la la, I sing a song and I'd get 100 views, which I'm grateful for those 100 views, but I was hoping for more, right?
Yeah.
I'd get some nice comments. Oh, you have such a beautiful voice. Thank you. I appreciate it. But it wasn't something going viral. So in addition to singing, I'd try some trends. There'd be a particular style of video that would use a particular trending song. And so I'd learn how to do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them worked, but nothing really, really, really worked really big. So the first video that I had that went viral,
Mm-hmm.
I took my phone. I was at Chick-fil-A,
Mm-hmm.
the drive-thru. And so I took my phone and I videotaped being in a long line. Like, why are all these people here? So I videotaped it, and then I flipped and I said, what's so special about Chick-fil-A anyway? So that video was maybe 7 seconds long. It was the first video that I created that went viral. Like, it had, in a short amount of time, it had 17,000 views.
Wow.
Oh. So I discovered 2 things with that. Lesson number 1, short content is easier to master than longer content.
Mm-hmm.
So you should work to master short content first. And then as you develop the skill of engaging people, then you can look to do longer and longer forms of content.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason is the algorithm pays attention to how long people are watching your content.
Indeed. Yeah.
Right. So if you have a 7-second piece of content and they watch the whole thing, the algorithm will send that out to more people. Better yet, if you have a 7-second piece of content and it was so funny or it had so much information in it that you need to watch it a second time, then the algorithm will go, oh, wow, this is even better than we thought. They're watching it 2 times or 3 times. Let's send it out to even more people. So that shorter piece of content, if you can get people to watch 75 to 100% of it, or better yet, to watch it more than once, now the algorithm will send that out to more people.
Mm.
However, there's
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I was just asking that short content is easier to master. That was the first thing you learned. What was the second thing?
So you need to make sure that the content that you're making aligns with the purpose for you being on social media. Because here's what happens. Trends are cool. I love them. They're fun. Make sure they align though, because there was a pop group, I believe, called To the Extreme, and they had a hit called More Than Words Can Say. Very beautiful ballad. I think they sold 7 million copies of it. But the problem was, if you heard this beautiful ballad, More Than Words, it's really pretty, right?
Yeah.
But if you went and bought their album because you were looking for this pretty love song, the rest of the album was right. And so, as much as wonderful as the pretty ballad was, when you go and get the recording and the rest of the music is not that soft, lovely, pretty ballad, then they had a marketing catastrophe because they became famous for something that wasn't really who they were. Same thing works on social media. We don't want to become famous for doing crazy things or crazy trends that have nothing to do with the person who we're looking to serve. Yeah, so I learned some success, like, oh, okay, what I created was short, so that was more successful, and it was very relatable because people could relate to, yeah, well, yeah, how come this Chick-fil-A place is more popular than McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's? You know, what's going on? Or Kentucky Fried Chicken? What's happening there? It was very relatable and it went viral, but it had nothing really to do with who it is that I was seeking to serve, right? Yeah.
Cool. And then when you discovered this, what happened next? So I'm guessing this Chick-fil-A video got, like, I don't know, 100,000 views or something, maybe millions now in today's world. But after that, what framework did you use to gain the similar kind of response from your audience again and again?
Okay, so I will say two things on the path. So I'm going to get to the first million view piece of content that I created. On my way to trying these different things, singing, doing trends, I decided, okay, well, when Kevin asked me to do what he asked me to do, what I would do is in the morning, I would sing a song and I would share a thought and then I would pray. Well, when I went to TikTok, I said, well, on TikTok, it's a little bit different than on Facebook. Let me make each of these their own video. When I made the prayer video, I had more engagement because people would say amen. People would talk about what it is that they were going through related to what I prayed about. I'd even get people DMing me, asking me for advice related to what it was that I prayed about. So suddenly I found a piece of content that was what my coach said. The audience will let you know what they want more of. So that's the first thing. So I've been praying regularly ever since on social media, on, you know, most every day. If I'm not sick, you'll find my prayers on at least 5 platforms. The other thing that was really, now this is what first went to like 1 million views. I sat down, I put my phone on a stand, and I sat down and I said, okay, I'm going to make a video saying to myself what I wish someone would be saying to me. Okay, so taking it, I want people to understand the context, because I think that too many times when we sit down to record something, we're thinking of us being on a stage speaking to, you know, 5,000 people or 2,000 people or 200 people, and not so much me having a one-on-one conversation. Better yet, the intimate one-on-one conversation I have with a best friend. So what I was doing was I said, all right, I'm going to speak to myself as if I were coaching myself or I were, a dad having a conversation with his son.
Hmm.
And so I put the camera up and then I sat down and said, hey, wait, I want to tell you something. Don't quit.
Hmm.
Don't quit. And so then I spoke about why you shouldn't quit from my experience. And
Hmm.
at the end, I didn't have a call to action that was asking people to do something, right? I just ended with, so don't quit. That's
Hmm.
all. And just, that's all. That video that was my first video that had more than 1 million views.
Hmm.
I realized that taught me it's more important for me to be authentic and speak to who I was and tell who I was what they need to hear from what I know from who I am now. And a lot of businesses, that's the model that finally helps them to succeed. When they
Hmm.
have as their avatar who they were 6 months or 12 months ago or 2 years ago,
Hmm.
because they know intimately the pain points and problems of that individual. And they can regularly speak to them with authenticity and emotion because they know what it's like to be an entrepreneur struggling, trying to figure out what's wrong with my offer, what's wrong,
Hmm.
why am I posting content and no one's responding to it.
Yeah.
So I know what that feels like, and therefore if I'm creating content that speaks to my pain 6 months ago, a year ago, then I have the greater chance of connecting authentically and even emotionally with my audience and it actually being something why they would want to follow me for more content.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. And we are very limited of time, and I want to learn so much from you. uh, so but before we jump into the more deeper level of understanding what you pre or what you teach to your students, I want to show you something. You tell me, Ash, this is okay or you have missed something or not, and then after that I want to dig down into what's the system you have or the SOPs you have for your mentees. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. Cool. So David Griffith, he was your second child, right?
Yes. Very good.
Cool. So your mom was from Jamaica, your dad from Cuban, and he
Yes.
was a trailbreaker. He has done things which kept you inspiring during whole of your childhood, and that tells you that if you want to do something different in your life, you have to break the chains. You have to go out and become someone who either influences more than the usual general number of lives around you, or somebody who inspires or motivates others, right? That brought you to the school where you had your first opportunity to create this follow your dreams song at your high school. That became a benchmark in your life, which tells you, okay, this is something I aspire, this is my you know uh, superpower, kind of,
Yeah.
right? And that brought you to go into your college university where you got your bachelor's in voice and then master's eventually. But when you got into your entrepreneurial journey, what you've learned that there were multiple different aspects of entrepreneurship vertical which was introduced to you by different people. For example, some suggested you to create a email list, some suggested you to go on social media, and you have done everything. There is nothing which they can say that we suggested to David and he hasn't done. You have done it, but you were missing something out. And that's when I guess along that journey you met Dr. Marvin Golden, who is one of your mentors, I'm guessing, or
Yes.
one
And,
super mentor.
yeah, and I apologize if I didn't say his name clearly. It's Myron,
Myron.
Myron. Just
Myron. Okay, Myron. It's, and sorry about that. My spelling is always, you know, great stuff. So Dr. Myron Golden, you met. He has, shaped and given you direction, and then you realize that the best way to touch the lives is being authentic And in order to touch more lives, you have to understand the algorithms. And for that, you need to meet audience need, solve their pain points, or, solve a problem. That was a golden nugget which you hit. But because of the fallbacks happening in your life, uh, during or after the COVID time, you were a little bit, towards the south, but kind of God sent you another opportunity in the form of your friend named Kevin, who
Yes.
came to you for help. You were actually thinking to take help from someone else, but actually he reached out to you for help, and that showed you that, okay, even though if I am in that bad shape, I can help Kevin. Why not help more people? Because what you give to others, to the world, comes back to you.
Yes.
That's how you started, doing the prayer videos for social media platforms. And then one of the videos went viral, which you did, out of the blue, in the queue in Chick-fil-A. And then two important bits which you shared with our audience is short content is easier to master compared to long. So first, master the short content, and then second, content you create should be aligned with social media algorithms or whatever they're looking for. I don't really understood it fully, but I'm thinking it should align with the social media trend or requirements or.
Um, the content you create. So if I so let me explain, and then I'll come back to the saying the
Mhm,
statement. Maybe the content that you create should align with several things: who you are
mhm,
and who you wish to serve,
mhm,
and what it is that they need, their problem, and you, of course, are offering your unique, authentic solution. Now, the
mhm.
algorithm helps you because it wants you to get people to stay on their platform as long as possible. So
Yep.
then the algorithm is actually your friend because it's helping you to make sure that you're creating content that aligns with your avatar's problems, right?
Mm,
So literally, it's going to make sure that, okay, I'm going to reward the content that's going to be the content that really is going to connect emotionally with the people who it is that it serves.
mm,
So that's why, if you consider how you should align your content with really the goals that you have before
mm,
you even come to social media, then you'll start to see, oh, the algorithm is actually my friend that's helping me do the right things to make sure that I have content that's worthy of exposing to more and more people.
mm.
Because when they see it's effective, they'll keep exposing it to more and more people, and you'll get more views.
Exactly, exactly. Cool. I think we almost covered everything what you taught us today. Is there anything which I've missed or you want to add into this brain dump of mine? Or
And by the way, I just love this, man. This is
oh,
beautiful.
cheers. Thank you
I
so
love it.
much.
Um, I would just say this. We started with you asking me about a quote, and I said,
Hmm.
done is better than perfect.
Hmm.
The bookend to that I'll say is this: there's someone today who is waiting for who you are and what you have to share.
Mm,
There are a million other people, if not a billion other people online right now sharing, but they don't have your story.
mm,
And so it's important for you not to feel like it's oversaturated. There's no point in me getting started now because there's someone who's going to respond to your unique story.
mm,
And so I don't want your audience to feel like they have to become someone different in
mm,
order to succeed. Actually, they do have to become someone different in that they have to commit themselves to revealing themselves on a regular basis so that they can learn what their audience needs from them.
indeed. Indeed. That's very, very deep, and it gives you a lot of food for thought. So thanks a lot, David, for that. We have another part of the interview, which is the quick fire round. And I'm enjoying this conversation so much, but we are restricted of time, so we have to go into the quick fire round if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Great. So I've got 6 quick fire questions for you. You can answer them as quickly as possible. You ready?
Okay.
Great. What's the top 3 strategies in 2024-2025 to start a social media account?
Top 3 strategies. So the first one is clarity.
Mhm.
Literally, you have to be clear. And I know this may sound redundant, but it's relating. You have to be very clear on who it is you are.
Mhm.
I'm going to steal from the Japanese concept of ikigai, reason for being. You have to be clear on your skill set and how it overlaps with what you're passionate about. And then that thing in the middle, does the world need it? And is the world willing to pay for it? If it is, then you have your bullseye. So get clear on your bullseye before you come to the platform. That's number one. Number two, when you get to the platform, do your research. Do your research? Yes. Look in the subject matter the vertical or the subject matter that you're going to enter, and look and see what's already being successful.
Mm.
And you want to analyze it. And that's something that, of course, I teach my students in depth. But analyze what's already being successful, because then you're going to create your own version of what already has been successful. Please don't think that you have to be creative and think of something that doesn't exist. The algorithm is actually going to allow you to create your version of something that's already successful, and they'll recognize the pattern and send it out to more people because you took the time to do your research and figure out the pattern that's successful already.
Got it.
And then the third one, the 3 basic elements to a piece of content, especially short form video: hook in the first 1 to 2 seconds, get people's attention, invoke curiosity. Number 2, story. What's the value? Tell something that's interesting and that it has some kind of payoff. Either it makes me laugh, or it makes me feel a strong emotion, or it educates me. And then the third part of that last point, in addition to the hook and the story or the value, make sure that you have a call to action. Ask people to do something. I watched an interview with a young lady, and she was so successful with her content, but she didn't ask people to follow at the end. And so she didn't have all the followers that she should have had because she forgot her call to action.
Interesting. Thanks for all these tips. That's really helpful. Question 2. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Who, Not How. Dr. Benjamin Hardy, Dan Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
I have a temptation, as many other creators do, to learn how to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd be better served, instead of learning how to do everything, become world class at one thing, and then create strategic relationships with people who know how to do the other things that you need done. So find a who that already knows how, and make a relationship with them. Either pay the money or make a barter relationship so that you can get the value you need. Who, Not How. I'd recommend that book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy.
Perfect. I'll add that into my list. What's one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Unselfishness.
That I
Yeah,
must say that I've heard this first time on my show.
you're going to do things that you're going to have to suffer in order to create things. And you're going to suffer more than other people because this is your baby. So if you don't have a certain sense of a higher calling to the reason why you're going through these things, then you're not going to want to go through them.
Interesting. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
3 wins. I also got this from Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Every day I pick 3 wins that I'm going to accomplish in the day, and I put them on a list. And so by doing that, I make sure I'm moving the ball forward on the big goal. So those 3 wins are related to what it is that I say it is. That's the most important thing that I'm seeking to accomplish. So there may be other things I have on a to-do list related to projects I'm working on, but these 3 wins are the things that I commit to. If I run out of time, these 3 things are getting done. And I think that's one of the best tools that's been added to my life that's helped me grow as an individual and as a business.
Great. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
The latest one that I pursued was I heard an interview. A gentleman, I think it's Richard Din, maybe, who
Mm-hmm.
was being interviewed by Russell Brunson. And he
Mm-hmm.
talked about, he's a life coach. He talked about doing something he called tiny challenges. And in the tiny challenges, he would allow a person to have 3 to 5 mini sessions with him so they'd
Mm-hmm.
have a chance to see the value that he was able to create. And then on the last session, he would offer them an opportunity to work with him on a paid basis. So I created my version of that called the Quick Wins Challenge. And
Mm.
I've already sold 15 of them, and most of those people have chosen other offers. So that was the innovative idea that I heard, and I actually stopped other things that I was working on and launched it, and have found it to be very effective.
Awesome. Interesting. I'll think about it. And last but not least, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I'm a passionate photographer, and for many years, literally, I would just go out and do street photography, and that was my therapy. It helped me through difficult times. That's something that probably people don't know.
Oh, did you like win any awards also or
No,
something?
no, because that um, my satisfaction is when I'm able. See, I realized something else too. I don't enter into competitions because, while that would be fun, but I get the satisfaction from sharing it. I already have a very large audience. So when I
Mm,
share it, especially, I would usually share on my Facebook account. I
mm,
get a lot of satisfaction from people connecting with what it is that I'm sharing and seeing the value in it. So that actually works for me. And of course, I mean, some people ask me to take pictures for them because of it, but it's just really satisfying to even spend hours creating something that is visually appealing to me and learning how to be better at it, like learning different techniques with Photoshop or Lightroom and being better at it. But then being able to share that and get feedback from others, it's just very satisfying.
definitely. And I share this with you. We can talk about it later, but yeah, thank you so much. David, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking last years of building this business and some of the ups and downs. If people want to check out your blog, your videos, or people want to get in touch with you for some help, what's the best way to do that?
I would love for people to send me an email, David
Mhm.
at contentcreatingacademy.com. David at contentcreatingacademy.com. If you'd like to see some of the things I'm up to, you can follow me on Instagram at David the Digital Creator,
Mhm.
David the Digital Creator, or on Facebook at Orphan Helper, Orphan Helper, or on TikTok at David Griffiths oh 07, David Griffiths oh 07, or on YouTube at David Griffiths Music.
Perfect. I'm going to follow you and send you straight away a hi. I saw you have a profile picture with a red shirt, right?
Yep.
On TikTok. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That's the perfect. Great stuff. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing, actually. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
My pleasure. I thoroughly enjoy having conversations with people like yourself. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that beautiful visual representation of our journey and discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of our Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with David insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on our future interviews with proven founders and industry experts. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.